This program is brought to you by Connie Doto of Connie Doto Realty Group, 119 Pleasant Street, Methuen. When you want results, don't make a move without us.
Welcome to Doto Real Estate View. I know a lot of people always ask, how can we keep ourselves safe and our community safe? And we have invited again, once the Methuen Police Department, we have Jeffrey Terizzi here. Thank you, Jeffrey, for coming out to speak to us. It's this time of year that, we want to make sure that we keep our homes and our families safe all the time. So I guess, what's one thing that people can do to keep their house safe?
It's actually a good question. I go to a lot of calls. Over the years, I've been a police officer, and especially most of the calls are the bad end of it. That's after like a break or that someone's been vandalizing. People are like, well, what can I do? What can I do to make my house safer? And as being a police officer and seeing things that work and things that don't work, there's numerous things you can do. You'd be surprised the amount of houses we go to that people don't trim their bushes or cut back their bushes. Me personally, I have no bushes in front of my house. I've seen so many houses being broken into that have bushes in front of them that I never put bushes in front of my house. That's just my preference. Alarm systems are really huge. They're a great deterrent. Having just a sign for alarm systems is a great deterrent. Sometimes I tell people to put up a sign, say, beware of a dog. A lot of people don't like dogs. I mean, it could be a little Shih Tzu in the house or German Shepherd. They might not try that house if they see the sign. One of the other things too is tell people to do sensor lights, front, back, side. I have sensor lights all around my house. My wife gave me a hard time when we put an addition on, but again, being a police officer 20 years, I did what I wanted to do to know that nobody would come around my property.
Yeah, and you talked about alarms. I mean, what do you think of good alarms? Is there a good alarm? Is there,
I'm going to say this and not try to sound sarcastic, but an alarm that works is a good alarm. There's so many times we go to breaks at houses, house breaks, and they're like, oh, do you have an alarm? Yeah, was it on? No, it broke 3 months ago. We just didn't get it fixed. Or, well, my daughter doesn't know how to put it on, or my son doesn't know how to put it on because they might be in high school, whatever. These are things you got to teach your kids how to do. These are things you got to make sure are operational. And me personally, I have an alarm and I have cameras. I have cameras all around my house. That is like the wave of the future. They tell us, being a police officer, you're on cameras at least 8 times a day. Now more with us in Methuen, we have the body cameras, but prior to that, you were on camera 8 times a day. And it's a great thing. We've solved more crimes due to cameras, and not just someone breaks in your house, we check your cameras. We check your neighbor's cameras all the way down the street. Sometimes we don't solve that crime till we get to the 5th camera down the street where we actually see the person get into a car. See, these people aren't sometimes bright enough to think that they think we're not going to go the extra mile to look at all those cameras down the street. And most people, if they find out their neighbor's been broken into, they're going to let us right in and look at their cameras to help solve the crime because it's their neighborhood. They feel violated.
Which is, technology is great for that. I mean, it's a wonderful thing. So what month, if there is a month, that's your typical crime month?
That's honestly hard to judge nowadays. I mean, it does get a little hotter in the months coming up to Christmas and the holidays because thieves think there's going to be more presents or whatnot or gifts in the house. You'd be surprised sometimes when you're driving around and you pull in after shopping. Be aware of like who's driving by, especially if you're in like a residential neighborhood that doesn't generally have a lot of traffic. Be aware of the cars that might have followed you there because if they saw you shopping and you see a car that's behind you and you think it might be following you home, don't go to your house. They might be following you and wait to come back and break in later because they just saw you spend $1,000 at the Apple store or whatever. I mean, we go to work and we work all day on thinking about what we got to do for work or what we got to do home, making lunches for the kids. These people think about how are we going to get to someone's house that's just spent a ton of money, and they'll do some of the homework they need to do to make a quicker, easier score, basically.
Good point. And I know there's been a lot of packages
Yes.
that are delivered,
Yes.
stolen as well. I mean, that seems to be another
Right.
trend.
So the new thing too is, and just before I came here, my son, his Halloween costume came, and he wants to be Tom Brady. So we ordered him some shoulder pads. The new thing with Amazon and most of their gifts now, they actually tell you when they've been delivered, which is great. So as soon as it's delivered, and it was weird, I got an alert on my phone. I'm like, oh, Coop, your package here. You went outside. There it is. That's a big thing that Amazon's done to help curb people getting their packages stolen. Another thing is those Amazon boxes that they have that they're set up where you can pick up your package at a location. If
Yep.
it's something small, they can't do
Yep.
like a big
Yep.
package. Sometimes leave special instructions where you might want Amazon to deliver it. I have cameras outside my house on my farmer's porch. As soon as someone steps on my farmer's porch, it alerts me on my phone. So if I get a package delivered, I know the package is going to be there. I might call my, son or daughter, say, go get the package if they're home. If they're not home, at least where they deliver the package, there's going to be a camera there if someone comes up and takes it.
And then another thing is, I always have packages delivered at my
Right.
office. It's like, you know what?
Right, a
Someone's
safe-
there,
yeah.
it's like.
Well, if you know
you're
someone
safe.
that's going to be home all the time,
Correct.
like maybe
Right.
an elderly relative that
Right,
they'll
Pick
think
it
it's
up.
great because now they get to
Right.
get your package delivered and you'll go visit them after,
right,
right?
exactly,
It's like
exactly.
you're killing two
for
birds in
one.
one stone right
Two
there.
for one, you're right. And I think that's important, but, we talk about all the technology that's out there, the cameras and all this,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yep.
It's wonderful, because as
Yeah.
you are saying, you're solving a lot of crimes with picking up from neighbors and stores' cameras
right.
to see we're doing things. But I think one thing that's out there that is disturbing to me, and I mean, I'm on Facebook, of course,
Right.
because I own a business, but
Right.
some of the stuff that's on Facebook, I mean, what do you think of that when people are just flagging stuff? It's like, oh,
Yeah, like, it's amazing how, like, as soon as people hit the airport, they're telling everybody, going to, Disney World, I'm going here, I'm going there, and then it does happen. I mean, yeah, you want to post on social media because it's kind of like, whatever, popularity thing, or whatever it is, right? You want to do that, that's fine.
Right.
But make sure when you leave your house, you take the proper precautions leaving the house. I mean, tell your neighbors that you can trust you're leaving. Tell family members. Have sensor lights. I know it sounds ridiculous, but those little sensor lights that come on and off, I have them. They're cheap. You can get them at like Harbor Freight. I've even done it that I've had my parents come move my car a couple times during the week. This way, I mean, yeah, that's going to deter people who don't normally know you.
Right.
But you never know, someone who might see a post of yours through someone else's social media might be like, all right, they drive by your house on Monday, then they drive by on Tuesday in the car and drive. Maybe they're like, oh, maybe someone's staying there. All right, I'm not going to go into their
Right.
house. So
Right.
make it look like someone's there, And if you have a family member that can help you out, have them help you out by, stopping by the
walking
house and
through. Yeah.
cancel your mail, cancel
Right.
your paper so it's not building up for a week or
Right.
2 weeks. Just
Right.
simple things.
Yeah.
Sometimes we forget, but if you forget, you leave, you forget to cancel your mail, call your neighbor up.
Pick it up.
Can you grab my
Yep.
mail? I'll get it at the
Right.
end of the week. I
Right.
just don't want it to build up.
How about lights inside the house?
Yeah, I mean, nowadays, timer, but nowadays, there's apps where you could,
Your phone.
Amazon, I
Right.
mean, the Amazon Echo, you got apps that you can turn on and off your lights from
Right.
any time as you're coming home,
Right.
It's great. You could be coming down the street and turn all the lights on your house, and if someone was in your house, they're going to be like, what the heck's going on, and
Right.
get out of there. I mean,
Right.
hoping at that point, if you have the proper precautions, that they're not going to go into your house, but having timers and having all those new apps and technology, I mean, some of it can be pricey, but you budget yourself and do certain rooms, like the living room, maybe the kitchen or something, or at least to start, at least it's better than nothing.
I mean, it's one of the biggest investments is your
Yeah. Oh,
home.
absolutely.
And the most precious is children and family.
Right.
Obviously,
Right.
one's life. So, I guess in having kids at home, and I know I would probably have my kids in a bubble if I had
Right,
children,
right.
because I'd be fearful. But what do you think for, kids being home
Right,
alone?
and it's a
I
great
mean,
question. Like,
it's-
I'm coming into that right now because my daughter's 14, so
Yeah.
she's been babysitting my son, who's 9, and they have a little more freedom. And we started off, and I tell people too, like, you're going to start your daughter or your son staying home alone, start it small, kind of work out a plan, and, you got to keep pounding into their heads what you want them to do. So
Right.
if it does happen, they react the proper way. And my daughter knows, like, if someone knocks at the door, if we're out, especially at night, don't answer it. One good thing is I have a dog, so the dog will stop barking, so most people usually don't stick
Right,
around, right?
right, when they have
I mean,
the
obviously,
dog.
she can answer if she knows
Right.
it's a family member, and that's different, right? But if someone knocks on the door, don't answer it, call me right away or call my wife right away, and either we'll start heading home, or I'll even call a neighbor. So you can even set something up. If you have good neighbors, like next door is Al Delano. He's one of the teachers at the high school. I know if I wasn't home and my daughter said there's someone at the front door, I'd call Al and say, Al, can you go next door and check and see what's going on over there? And Al would do the same with me, and we help each
Right,
other out.
right.
He'd go right over there and check on the house and check on the kids and see if everything
Right.
was good. Because you never know. It could be something simple, but to a kid, that's like, I don't know
Oh,
this
yeah.
person. Is this person trying to break in? It could be just
Of course.
the guy reading your water meter or whatever. It could be a
Right.
package being delivered, but they freak out,
Right.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it's.
but you
for
want
sure.
them not to get or lose it. You want them to know what the protocol is. And I've told my kids, I go, if you're home alone and you know someone's breaking the house, like you're hearing someone breaking something, just get out of the house and run. Don't
Right.
go hide in the house. Try to get out as quick as you can and run. And then call us. I mean, my daughter doesn't leave her cell phone anywhere, so she could be
Right.
in the middle of the woods, and I'm sure she'll call me.
Right, like I said, technology's great.
Yeah.
Kids have the phones now,
Right.
which is,
Right.
it's important for those
Yep.
times that they may need them. It's a scary thought. I mean, I think, children, it's like, like you said, people watch.
Yeah,
You
they do.
know,
They have
if-
nothing
like
better
in
to
the
do all
store,
day.
it's
They
like-
can watch and look at people's routines or whatnot.
Right, to see what the
Even in law
pattern is.
enforcement, we don't try to do the same routine. Like if you're on the midnight shift, you don't check the same buildings the same way every night. You mix it up because people who are professionals take the time to watch
Right.
and try to figure out what your routine is
Right.
to make it the easiest to get in and out.
It's funny, when you said that's what their job is,
Yeah.
you don't think
Yeah.
of it that way, and you're absolutely right,
And it's so bad being a police officer because I go places with my wife and I'll be like, oh, look at that. Look at how that's set up. Or I'll sit in certain places. She's like, what do you... But now she's been married to me for like 17 years. So going on 17 years, she knows. I'm like, all right, we're sitting over there. We're doing this. But I think differently than a normal person.
Right.
So, and I encourage people, and I have the gift of gab, as you can see. I encourage people to come up to me and ask me what you would do. And I tell people that we have a lot of people that get their cars broken into down in the Arlington neighborhood. And like, I have an alarm, but you don't hear the alarm go off. I'm like, Harbor Freight sells these little, they're like $20. I have them in both of my sheds in my garage. They're these little sensors, and they go 300 feet. So you take that little sensor for $20, you put it in the front seat of your car on the floor, and you turn it on. The other adapter's in your house. If anybody goes in your car, motion-wise, it's going to beep in your house. It's better than any car alarm that you spend $300 on. It's $20. I have them in my shed. If someone was to go in my shed, like way out back, I have a generator out there, it's going to beep in my house. And it doesn't beep unless someone's in there, so it's not going to...
Go off itself.
Yeah, if you hear someone beeping, you call us, and we'll go out there and check out what's going on outside.
Right.
I don't encourage you to go out there and confront anybody because you don't know who it is, but
Right.
it's a very easy and inexpensive way to keep track of who's in your backyard or whatever.
You brought up the point, you're a police officer, obviously, your eyes and ears are everywhere.
Yes.
Which is good. The normal person isn't, but that's...
That's changing, though.
It
It is changing.
Believe me, I go to a lot of Celtics game, I walk,
yeah.
and it's like, my eyes and ears are everywhere.
It should be, though.
It's like, you know what, you just don't know who's going to... So
Right.
I think common sense is not so common sometimes.
Right, you're right.
So it's like, I think that's one thing, and it's good to hear you say that our awareness is on the upswing.
Right.
People are doing that, but I think people
we get
don't.
more phone calls now. People don't, we totally encourage people. Like, we're a very proactive police department doing. I mean, you see it. I mean,
Right.
just coming in the door, the
Presence.
people are joking about me pulling cars over. I stop
Right.
a lot of cars. That's my
Right.
job. I'm in traffic.
Right.
You see something in your neighborhood, and I hate it when someone says, oh, I saw that car, but I wasn't sure, and they don't call, and that was like their neighbor's house got broken into. You see something. We all get paid very
Right.
well. We all are trained very well. Let us come check it out, because I'd rather come check it out and be nothing than you call me later, call us later and say, oh, what happened? Oh, we're at this house because it got broken into. Oh, I saw a black car, but I didn't. Just call.
Right.
I mean, we have plenty of police officers.
Right.
The chief's done a great job with building up our staff. I mean, we have
Right.
guys all over the city at any given time.
I have to say, you are very responsive, because the alarm has gone off in my office a
Oh,
few
yeah.
times, and
Yeah.
people have come down, so
Yeah.
I
And
have
they'll
to
send
say...
an alarm. We'll send 2, 3 cars.
Yeah, I have to
It's-
say, you've certainly
Yeah.
do that. I think because it's the time of year that, 'tis the season that we're in, and people with the shopping, I mean, what you had brought out, but other things that people can do just to...
Right, yeah.
eh,
And I was actually talking about this with Sergeant Gunter before I came over here. I said, you know, some good tips for like shoppers. He's like, and he brought up some good points. He's like, one, try not to buy stuff or carry large amounts of cash, right? And then he brought up another point that I thought was great. Keep your cash separate from like your credit cards and your wallet. So if someone does steal your pocketbook, they don't get everything. A big thing that I always tell my wife too, and I'm always on her about it when she goes Christmas shopping. We don't have a trunk because we have a Pilot, but there's like a way to cover stuff. Like just put it in the back where the tinted windows are so it's harder for someone to see in. Look around when you're putting your stuff in the trunk, you know, make sure nobody's kind of watching or whatever. And if you leave one place and go to another, if you see a car that's following you, then call the police or whatever, because they might be following you to wait for you to park when you go to the next store, you know, up the road or whatever, and smash your windows and grab the stuff. So do your best effort to keep stuff out of sight, because they're going to walk through parking lots, and if they see, like, you know, Lord & Taylor bags in the back seat, they could be empty. It could be filled with, yeah, they're going to go for them, or they're going to at least get in there. It's going to be a big mess. So,
Same thing at the gas stations.
right.
People pumping gas.
Right.
And that seems to be a
Yeah,
a
I mean,
target.
yeah, and one of the big things you've seen a lot now is those scanners. I went to get gas today, and I pull on the credit card thing, because what they do is they have this machine that goes over the credit card slot, and it's a credit card reader. And if you just tug on it, they come off. So we haven't seen a lot up here yet. They're starting in the city and whatnot, but if you, every time you go to put your credit card in a machine or a pump, pull on the credit card, the black
That
thing.
little black thing,
If that
yep.
pops off, and you all of a sudden you
It's a
see that
scanner.
it's a scanner, and there's someone close by taking your numbers, so.
Well, that's a good tip.
Yeah,
to-
and that really starts a lot. You see that a lot happening in the holidays, because people are so crazy and not paying attention to stuff, and
Right, just quick.
everybody's trying to get to where they gotta get to, and that's
Right.
when you start seeing that stuff a lot.
Right, wow. Yeah, and was it a few months back, the person in the car, they had the gas pump on
Oh.
their car, and somebody got in the car and took off.
Oh, and yeah, oh,
and
yeah,
the gas
yeah.
line came
Yeah,
on.
and there's actually, and I just saw this recently too on one of the things we get, because we get these emails and different videos that come over. There is a group of people, and it's not around here, it's more down south, but now that it's on social
It's gonna
media,
happen.
it's coming up here and gives people ideas. Females pumping gas on her side, because most of the gas caps are on the driver's side. And what they do, where do you put your purse when you get out on the front seat and the passenger side, right? These people crawl over, and they see, it shows it on camera. They open up the door, and, you know, someone's pumping, and they're looking around, trying to be observant of anybody coming up to them, but they're not looking what's going on right there on the front seat on the right
Right.
side, and they're coming over, opening the door, and they're taking people's purses. I was watching this, I forget who sent it to me, but there was several of them that was going on
Yeah.
down south, and I'm like, oh my God. And so lock your doors
When you go to...
when you're pumping the gas, maybe put your keys in your pocket, you gotta shut the car off anyways. So if someone tries to get in the door, they're not gonna go in and grab you. And they use distractions too. They'll have someone talk right next to the person,
Right.
and this person over here is grabbing
Well,
your
give me
purse.
directions or
Right,
something,
right,
right?
oh, yeah, can I-
Put them in a...
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy, you just have to, you know, again, it's a matter of people being aware
Right, right.
of your surroundings. I
Right.
mean, I just,
It's funny, like I drive around and, or I go places, and me being the police officer, I hope to see that person doing something to someone else, because I'm like, you know, that's the type A personality that police officers have, and we want to help people, but
Right.
it's like, and I'm always observant, we're always observant, and once in a while it does happen. I mean, we got guys that are on the drug unit that are, I remember last year we were doing like a narcotics thing. I work with the drug unit sometimes, and they were watching something else, but as they were watching someone else, some guy was rifling through someone's car. So we got them, and they didn't expect there was like 10
was
cops in the
gonna
parking lot. And it had nothing to do with that. It was just that guy had a bad day. So hopefully he
Yeah.
thinks twice the next time. You never know who's in the parking lot, you know?
right, right. You know, I guess alarms to protect homes.
Right.
Anything, you know, neighbors.
Right.
Neighbor watch programs, are there some out there? What can people do to establish them?
Yeah, I mean, the best thing with that would call probably Sergeant Walsh. He's in charge of community outreach. I'm under community outreach too, but I'm in the traffic division, but I've been doing this a long time, so I help out with a lot of stuff if we have something big going on. Sergeant Walsh will help set up, if anybody has any questions on that. You can give the police station a call, which is 983-8676. Ask for Sergeant Walsh, Jack Walsh's extension, and he'll be more than happy to like push people in the direction of starting like community groups or whatnot. And there has been a few in the past in Methuen when certain neighborhoods are getting, I like to say hot, like if they've had a few car breaks or whatever, the community wants to come together, and we've met at like the old St. Teresa's or different church places will let us use the place, and we'll talk about what you can do. Some of the same tips of what we just talked about here, you know.
Right.
But he is definitely the guy to talk to.
And I know it's great that you do a lot of, the police department and fire department in Methuen do a lot of educational things with the children, with the adults, and which is important. It's always education. But, you know, again, I just, you know, looking at kids being home alone, that's always one that I know that a lot of people always say, what do you do? How can you make them safe? I know you tell them, just run, if something happens, get neighbors. Anything else that?
The big thing is just the game plan, putting together a game plan that they know what to do so they're not going to panic. Because when someone panics, and whether you're an adult or a child, that's when mistakes are going to be made and you could get hurt. So talk to them, have a game plan, have certain people they can call that are neighbors, tell them where you're going to be, you know. Even if you leave from that or deviate, just send them a text, hey, we left this place. We're gonna go shopping for a little while. This is where we're gonna be. So if something happens and we have to come to the house and they can't get a hold of them via phone, like their parents, maybe we can send a cruiser by to, like, you know, if they were at a restaurant or whatever, and say, hey, you know, something's going on at the house. We need you. So have a game plan. Tell your kids where you're gonna be, and the communication between your kids, your neighbors, and
follow that. I liked what you had said early on in terms of maybe doing it in short periods if you started to leave kids.
Yeah. And my daughter now, like, I mean, we started off short, and me and my wife just recently, and it was a big step for my wife. We went to the Patriots game when they played the Panthers.
Wow.
And I'm like, they're going to be fine. But know what I did? I had my father come pick them up like midway and bring the kids out to lunch for an hour and a half. So that made my wife feel better, but it worked out, you know. And it was a long day for them to be home, but you know, I didn't just throw my daughter into that 10-hour day.
Right, because that's a long time.
That's a long time.
You know,
And they end up killing each other by the
I
end
was
of
going to
that.
say.
No, they're pretty good.
You said a 9-year-old and a 14-year-old?
No, they do great when they're by themselves. It's the weirdest thing. It's like they help each other out. Like, because I have cameras in my living room, so we'll be out.
So you'll see.
And I'll put the camera on, like, they're getting along. It's like the weirdest thing. Like, if we come home, as soon as we come home, it's...
Right, that's funny.
Yeah.
I noticed that there was